Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Behind the Science with Mary Esther Gilbert. Is Mary Esther here? Let's see.
She
Okay.
is.
All right. All right.
Yes, I
So,
am. Hi.
hi, Mary. I am so excited to be doing this tonight with you.
Well, thank you. So am I, both of you.
I love your energy. So, should we get going? Kevin, Mary, you think
Thumbs
you're
up.
oh,
Absolutely. Let's
yeah,
go.
okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's do
So,
this.
yeah, let's do this. So, welcome to the Behind the Science call with Mary Esther Gilbert. And tonight you get a bonus because Kevin Coutu and myself will be the dynamic duo here to be hosting the call. So, while we're going through the questions and everything, just a little bit, first off, grab your pen and paper, grab a glass of water, and be prepared to be amazed because every time Mary Esther says something, it is just truly incredible and it changes our lives and how we look at our drops. But what we're going to do is, if you do come up with a question that you want answered, if you could so kindly put it in the chat, and Kevin will monitor that. And at the end of the questions that we already have printed, we'll answer all those questions. So if that sounds good, and if you could also make sure that you are muted, that way it'll keep the recording nice and clean and we can hear everything that Mary Esther has to say. Okay, so with that being said, Kevin, do you want to just take a quick minute and just introduce yourself?
For sure. I am Kevin Coutu. I live just outside of Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. I'm managing director with APLGO. It is coming up on my 5th year anniversary with APLGO. So it's quite an amazing company to work with. Yeah, as Julie said, if you have any questions or comments, post them in the chat. I'll be monitoring it and make sure that your questions get answered at the end.
All right. Okay. And I am Julie Martin. I will be with APL Go 5 years in May. And I never stop learning from Mary Esther Gilbert. So whether this is your first time hearing Mary Esther or you're in the double digits, sit back and enjoy. You're going to absolutely love this. And just a little bit about Mary Esther as we bring her on up here. Okay, documented a few things. She has a Bachelor and Master of Science degree in holistic nutrition. She has a Bachelor of Science in Nutrition Science. She has over 40 years experience in nutrition science, psychology, and alternative medicine. She is a researcher and a writer. In her practice, she integrates the science and the the ancient arts of botanical medicine, nutritional healing, holistic fitness, energy healing, and much, much, much more. So I know that just skims the top of it. So Mary Esther, welcome, welcome. Can you say hello? Everybody wave and applaud for Mary Esther.
Hello, everybody. It's so exciting to be here. I wish I were a psychologist, but it's a physiology, not
Oh,
psychology.
physiology.
Right, right. Be nice to
Well,
have that extra little bit advantage, but yeah, that's what I've got. Thank
all
you.
right. All right. Well, because everybody is so excited to learn about the beauty of Power Lemon and Power Apricot. Let's get started, okay?
Yes,
Let,
absolutely. Let's
let's
just
go.
jump right in. I'm going to go
Jump
ahead and
right in.
share my screen here, make sure everyone can
Yeah.
see. All righty. So yeah, let's go ahead with your first
Okay.
question.
Well, the first question is, what are the key components of Power Lemon and Power Apricot? And how are they similar or different, obviously? And do they have an impact or effectiveness with conventional hormone therapies that we know of today?
That is such a loaded question. I couldn't wait to get into it. So bear with me while I lay it all out for everybody. So let's lay a little bit of groundwork here, okay? So if you want to read along with me, the APL drops, they contain these vital phytonutrients, that the body recognizes immediately as being compatible with self, quote unquote, and that helps maintain their proper functioning all the way down to this microcell level. So we need those nutrients to function properly, no matter what age we are and what stage of life we're at. So since the drops contain biologically correct nutrients, then including those that aid proper hormone functioning, then those nutrients are preferred over non-nutrient or foreign molecules. So anything that's not a nutrient, the body treats as a foreign molecule. So correctly structured nutrients, and that means they haven't been altered by heat, they haven't been overly processed, they're just fresh off the vine or the tree or whatever, right? And they've been preserved so that they maintain all their nutrient value. And that is so true with the drops too. The company's very, very careful to maintain all of the nutrient factors in the plant materials. Plus they add more electrons in that simulated storm environment, right? So the correctly structured nutrients, so they won't have adverse side effects once they're allowed in and working within the inner universe of our cells that keep us alive and working for us day in and day out throughout our lives. Okay, so that's what nutrients do. So we should never try to associate those with any kind of drug or anything, but we're coming to that question. But anyhow, I just wanted to lay out just a little bit of groundwork as far as the differences between hormone replacement therapy and the power nutrient actions, how they act in the body. And I'll go over all of those because they're going to just kind of fit into with all the questions that you submitted, Julie, which are awesome questions.
Okay.
So, all right, so let's go. What?
Do you want question 2 or are you adding on to that?
No, I wanted to just drop that in, in between. But yes, I want to go over so just so everyone is clear on what HRT is, hormone replacement therapy is, so that we get an idea of the differences between the medical system, what they do for menopause versus what nutrients do. So I want to just make that distinction. But like I said, it'll fit into the questions that you provided, but we're not there yet. So let me go ahead and just go over this really quick with us.
Yeah.
Okay, so hormone replacement therapy requires a consultation, with a medical provider so that you can be aware of the risks versus the benefits. And the HRT is generally recommended to use the lowest effective dose for the shortest duration of time, because that's how, if you take this kind of therapy too long, then it starts really affecting your health. And they admit it up front, right? So the estrogen, the hormone estrogen, when they give you the estrogen hormone, it's for women with no uterus. So they have the synthetic or chemically altered conjugated equine estrogens from horse urine or ethyl estradiol. So it's either synthetic or it's from horse urine. And then you've got bioidentical estradiol from yams or soy. So the medical community uses all of the above when you go to your doctor for HRT. And then you've got combined estrogen and progesterone. That's for those with the uterus to allegedly reduce the risk of endometrial or uterine cancer. So the synthetic progesterone, it's called progestin, there's variations, names on it, prevents uterine lining from thickening, preventing endometrial cancer, and has a different chemical structure than the natural progesterone, the plant-derived progesterone-like substance. Natural progesterone that naturally produced in the ovaries and adrenal glands, it's also converted from leafy greens, citrus, whole grains, and nuts. So your body can't produce it from the food you eat. But regular exercise really, truly helps balance your estrogen and progesterone by regulating your fat metabolism, reducing the stress chemicals like cortisol, which disrupt all these hormonal functions. So the natural progesterone, it's actually not exactly progesterone, right? It's a precursor, so the body recognizes to turn it into progesterone at the right biochemical balance along with your estrogen. And with exercise, then that all comes into balance. And as we proceed through the questions, you'll see what I mean more and more. Okay, so and then exercise, like I said, it lowers the estrogen and progesterone levels in premenopausal women. And so the younger you are, the more at risk you are for breast cancer. But again, we're going to go through that as we go along. So HRT is used to treat hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, purports to help maintain bone health against osteoporosis and fractures. It claims to stop growth of prostate, breast, and endometrial cancers. And this is all the scientific research. Side effects are headaches, mood changes, bloating, irregular bleeding, breast tenderness. Increased health risks are blood clots, breast cancer, stroke, heart attacks, and gallbladder disease with long-term use and higher doses. So that is what the medical community has to offer, all right? So this is what the Mayo Clinic came out with in 2025. Hormone therapy was once routinely used to treat menopausal symptoms and protect long-term health. Then and I've seen the studies just, this week, new studies, they said then large clinical trials showed health risks. So we're going to go over, the differences. And I think all of you here tonight are going to be very excited about what the nutrient factors in the drops can do without the side effects. Okay, so just a real quick, I know we're going to do a 5-point sales, wrap up at the end, but I just wanted to say that associates, you can emphasize the verified scientific research about how plant nutrient factors in the power formulations work, along with exercise, of course, and they'll play a role in generating the right balance of hormones to minimize or eliminate menopausal symptoms. And like I've said before, I'm proof positive that once I stopped my menses, I never had a hot flash. I don't know what they feel like, other than when I exercise and I work out really hard. I sweat. But as far as the way they come on and the night sweats, all those things I never actually experienced. And I've had clients over the years who, under the right nutritional guidelines, have gotten rid of them. So I don't think they're normal. Okay, so and as we go on, you'll see why they're not normal. So here's some other symptoms, right? Brain fog, fatigue. How many of you know someone, or maybe even yourselves, if you want to admit it here, have gone through these kinds of symptoms, right? Mood changes, sleep disruptions, joint pain, vaginal dryness, irregular menses, increased facial hair, heart palpitations. I've had clients with all of the above, and believe me, it is fixable, okay? Your body just needs the right precursors to adjust its own hormonal balance. Any essential nutrient provided to the body through a well-balanced whole foods daily diet can be properly absorbed through the cell membranes down at the microcell level. Remember, that's where everything happens, and they're utilized, and therefore it impacts the body's hormone production and functions. So nutrients are the key. The Power Apricot and Power Lemon contain the right phytochemical complexes or phytonutrient factors that have been found by scientists over time. Thousands of scientific journals and thousands of scientific articles show that they can influence the hormonal actions toward just resetting, guiding the body to improve its biochemical balance and restore its equilibrium or homeostasis. So this is all about the biochemistry. More research on hormone replacement therapy and nutrient interactions is required, and the ball is just barely starting to move in that department. Clinical trials on these botanicals and the drops do show how effective they can be in helping the body control menopausal symptoms. This is a quote from the scientific research. So it's about time, that they're saying it out loud, and people are going to be more and more aware of these kinds of things. So that's really exciting. So the other half of your question, Julie, I know this is the first question. I don't know, for some reason, it's always the longest answer. And I think this will help cover a lot of your other questions, although I did answer the other questions. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's look at the differences, like you asked, on how the Power Botanicals nutrients influence hormonal functions and help lower disease risk, all the risks that are associated as people are premenopausal and going through menopause and postmenopausal. All right, so as you can see, I separated the columns. One is Power Apricot and the other column is Power Lemon. So when they're redundant, you'll see the two names across both columns, right? And if it doesn't have one in the formulation, then I just put a dash there, just so you know. But as you can see, and I did try to summarize as much as I possibly could to fit it in the time frame here, because we do want questions at the end. So the apricot, it has all these nutrients in it, like the carotenes, the antioxidant phenolic phytonutrient compounds, the pectin, the anthocyanidins, all these wonderful phytonutrients that address the different body systems and prevent a person from being at risk, anti-carcinogenic, anti-aggregant, so the blood doesn't clot, and form blood clots and strokes and heart attacks, things like that. Helps regulate cholesterol. I mean, you just can go through. It helps keep your arteries clear. Just prevents all of this free radical damage from all these obstructive plaques and lesions and these thrombus and embolisms that start in the blood vessel wall. So the apricot is a very healthy, superfood. So now you've got another one, ashwagandha. And so this is anti-tumor, and it's got a great effect on ovary cancer cells, the scientists have found, and it's found to help control uterine fibroids. So ashwagandha is another wonderful plant to have in the Power Apricot. And then the asparagus root, they've got compounds called asparagines shown to have a beneficial effect in heart functioning. And of course, I'm just relating all the research I found on each one of these botanicals to our formulations. As everyone knows, if someone has the book that I wrote for APLGO, you know that these botanicals do a heck of a lot more for the body. But as it applies to the menses and the menopause and men's and women's health issues, then this is what we're going over tonight. So now we've got asparagus root that contains asparagus. Oops, I already said that. Nope, I didn't. Asparagines shown to have a beneficial effect on heart functioning. I think it said that. All right, so Damiana leaf. It's got even more phytochemical complexes. There's 25,000 or more known complexes in the plant kingdom. They help balance the hormonal system. They've got things like cyanoglycosides, flavonoids, phenolic glycosides, all these wonderful essential oils that are in there. And so they list those as well. And then they help restore all these levels of female hormones. And so they restore endocrine system functioning, which is where all the glands are excreted. Shown to increase libido, used in cases of nervous breakdowns, all kinds of different, scientists have really explored these botanicals, and they just have so many great, beneficial health benefits. But in this case, I wanted to relate everything having to do with balancing the hormones and protecting against these health problems that arise. Shown to have aphrodisiac activity, help stabilize the body's sensitivity to stress. So, here we go again, just a really quick summarization of these botanicals in these formulations. So fig, they put that in the Power Lemon. I keep catching my blouse with my bracelet here. So the fig helps enhance bone density, prevent muscle weakness, improves nerve functioning, helps improve memory, learning, and thinking. So they've got all these antioxidant, nutraceutical properties, reducing damaging free radicals that scavenge the body and steals our healthy cells' electrons and damage them. And so it contains an antioxidant peroxidase enzyme, physin. It has 174 amino acids that aid in wound healing. All these compounds are found to be anti-mutagenic. They protect the DNA against genetic code damage. So who knew what else, the fig has. Just go out and eat some figs, everybody, whether you're female or male. So then it's also an anti-inflammatory. It helps attenuate inflammatory cytokine protein levels. So it doesn't allow this inflammatory response because it just takes care of it. It nips it in the bud before it happens. And also figs have been known to improve sperm and semen quality, has decreased since the 20th century due to increased exposure to chemical pollutants. And formaldehyde is one of many. And the formaldehyde exposure also decreases the motility and number of spermatozoa. And so it destroys the spermatogenic cells. So it's unable to produce more sperm. It was also shown to improve reproductive hormone levels and help resolve fertility issues in both males and females. All righty, so now we've got the ginger root, strengthening blood vessels, reduces risk of blood clots. So, all of these symptoms are due to imbalance of hormones. And of course, there's other factors that cause these kinds of things. But when someone is approaching menopause and when someone is aging, whether you're male or female, then you're more and more at risk. Okay, so also it contains the primary essential fatty acid, linoleic acid, needed for cell membrane maintenance. So you want nice, pliable membrane surfaces, brain and nervous system health. So it's got ginsenosides, saponins, all these wonderful phytochemical compounds, anti-carcinogenic. They reduce severity of symptoms from cancer treatments. They inhibit the proliferation of cancer cells. They induce apoptosis. That's the self-destruction of cancer cells. A universal remedy for ridding the body of accumulated toxic waste. Now, at this point, we have to tell ourselves we're not medical doctors. We're not making any medical claims. We don't diagnose or treat or anything like that, right? We're just studying what nutrients do at the cell level to correct any damage. And that's the key. Okay, so ginkgo leaf, of course, I don't know if a lot of you are familiar with that. It seems to be pretty popular out there in the supplements world. It helps improve memory, reduce anxiety, and it normalizes sleep. Again, balancing the hormones, calming the system down. Shown to block the formation of blood clots, clean out the lymph nodes, which gets so inundated with synthetic chemicals that just blocks the microcirculatory system in the lymph system and improves blood circulation. It strengthens the arteries, the veins, and the capillaries, slows the aging process down, strengthens the hair, improves menopausal disorders like memory problems, poor concentration, dizziness, depression, and tinnitus, with the ringing in the ears. The flavonoids, the terpenoids, all these wonderful compounds, they're found to prevent the formation of the clotting factors and protecting the nerve cells in the brain. And that's one of the reasons this helps improve memory and learning, just keeps that oxygenation and blood flowing and nutrients flowing to the brain. A global view in applying ginkgo to patients concluded that ginkgo improves dementia and cognition, working memory speed. So ladies and gentlemen, you can approach aging without having to worry about all of these tendencies or risks or side effects when you're highly nourished like these. And the drops are so beneficial because they're immediately absorbable into that cell membrane. The body accepts them readily and goes to work for you, doing all of this work. All right, so again, more phytonutrient compounds, the glycosides, the ginkgolides, and the bilobalide, and the proanthocyanidins. They're just, you can just go on and on. They're just amazing. So they enhance the cholinergic process in the brain's hippocampus, the center of the autonomic nervous system that influences emotions and spatial working memory. So you don't get lost. A lot of people with dementia, they get lost because they don't have that spatial working memory. So then we've got ginseng. How many more do we have? I think just 3 more. I'm just going to skim them very fast. I'm watching the clock here. So the ginseng, which is the Asian Panax ginseng, it has the ginsenosides and the saponins, and they help improve mental and physical performance, ability to increase physical loads without the need for more oxygen consumption, improves mental work capacity, endurance, and recuperation after physical loads. So after your workouts, both men and women, you can use a lot of the compounds to help recuperate from your workouts and give you more workout energy. They're anti-anxiety, antidepressant, and enhances cognition. Immunomodulatory, so it monitors the immune system, it aids the immune system so that it doesn't react in an inflammatory manner that's detrimental to your health, but also is very on point where it's watching, what's going on in the body to protect your health. Vasodilatory, it's not going to permanently dilate your blood vessels, but your immune system will work with these nutrients to determine when you need more blood and when you need to constrict your blood vessels a little bit. If you're cold, your blood vessels are going to constrict. If you're working out, if you're extra warm, then your blood vessels are going to allow more nutrients and oxygen to flow. Anti-inflammatory, anti-aging, anti-fatigue. I love all these anti-words, So it stimulates the brain and increases the neurotransmitters, dopamine, noradrenaline, and 5-hydroxytryptamine, which have antidepressant effects, improves cell-to-cell nerve signaling. I mean, it just goes on and on, right? You've got the polysaccharides, the flavonoids, the volatile oils. So it's been tested against Parkinson's disease, and the outcomes have been very, very promising. Again, the ginsenosides, you've got the triterpenoids, glycosides. They're known to protect the nerves, enhance memory, learning, and spatial navigation, improving your cognitive performance, being able to think and reason, and protect against any kind of nerve degeneration. Now here, the lemon, these flavonoids, they're a huge classification. All of these are, they contain many, many sub-classifications, so they all have variants in the different plants, right? So the flavonoids in lemon, the hesperidin and the naringin, they have been shown to decrease blood plasma cholesterol and triglycerides in the liver, improve hyperglycemia, help regulate your blood sugar, help prevent obesity. And that, in other words, when something says helps prevent obesity, it's helping you make use of your body fat and the blood sugars. The polyphenol compounds help improve insulin resistance, stimulating the uptake of glucose out of the blood. So it aids in anyone who has a tendency toward diabetes or has diabetes. So it's effective against fungal strains. So it's a tremendous antimicrobial. All these botanicals are great antimicrobials. So, it's got more flavonoids, anti-obesity, phenolic compounds improving blood pressure, especially with daily exercise. So it's going to improve your quality of your red blood cells. All right, so now the final one, the pomegranate, it helps lower blood pressure and relieve headaches, helps improve iron-containing protein, which is the hemoglobin levels. So the Chinese used pomegranate seeds to enhance male power, probably because they're full of plant sterols, which are the precursors to all the hormones that either males or females can manufacture when they need them. Studies show it helps prevent cancer and aging. Antioxidant nutrient compounds like the polyphenols, the anthocyanosides, all of these. I mean, I can just rattle them off really quickly, but I think you get the picture. It's been tested again against Alzheimer, cancer, arthritis, male infertility, obesity, and cardiovascular disorders, and improves the semen quality and HDL cholesterol levels. So there you have it.
Wow. Okay. So if anybody feels like I'm feeling right now, while you were talking, Mary Esther, I wanted to go grab my boxes of Power Lemon, Power Apricot, and just start making gobstoppers to do all these fabulous things that our botanicals do for us. So put in a reaction, everybody. If you got a thumbs up and you're like feeling the same way I am, let's see it. You when we talk about menopause, okay, I want to emphasize the word menopause. So we're talking about men and women. How would well, first off, men, what would symptoms be of a man going through? Do they have their own menopause? And how would a woman know if she should take Power Apricot and Power Lemon, or just one, or the man take Power Apricot Lemon? Is there a difference? I know we have the hot flashes, the sleep disruption, and things like that, but how would a man or a woman choose these differently, and how would they know precisely which one they should try?
Okay, that's a great question. We get it so often, every so often, and it warrants answering over and over again because it's not as simple as you might think. The human body is very complex, as you know, but we do have our differences. Males and females have different physiologies when it comes to hormones, right? And so men could go through hot flashes as well, especially if they're not exercising and they're not maintaining their testosterone levels, right? And so then they might have more estrogen in their systems, especially as men age. They tend to increase their their estrogen levels. So again, getting these botanicals in the system will give your body what it needs to make that correct determination. Talk to the DNA and let the hormonal system in on, getting the memo kind of
Mhm.
thing. So it's pretty much the same for both. But let me tell you what I have for you here. By studying the above chart that we just looked at for each botanical's health attributes, you can determine which drop to use. Just look at the body systems that it addresses and try it out for that for your body. I mean, these plants are pretty pan-systemic, but many of these phytonutrients have been found to really pay attention to address any issue that the body is having trouble with, right? So menopause is not a normal condition, so these nutrients will help correct the condition. Even if you stop your menses, it's still not going to allow these abnormal symptoms, especially the heart disease symptoms or diabetes, any of the other things that people are at risk for, men and women, but also the menopause. So the nutrient factors in the formulations, they play really protective roles in helping the hormonal system to return it back to just biochemical balance, homeostasis. So it reduces or eliminates those menopausal symptoms. And then you're considering the scientific findings of how the powers botanical nutrient factors work in the body. People can experience improvements in their brain and nervous system health, including learning, memory, and cognition. They can maintain their hormonal health, including controlling and attenuating moods and not allowing the pathways that leads to a hot flash, things like that. So these nutrients will help keep everything in check. Alrighty, so, and then we've got negative factors that are associated with causes of menopausal symptoms. So if any of you out there know someone who is going through menopause, no matter what age, have them take a look at these factors. They have to stop doing these things. these are the culprits. They are disrupting the hormonal system. They're blocking the circulatory system. Your body cannot receive the nutrients and oxygenation that it needs. So eliminating the heated oils, all the trans fats, heated oils, fried oils, hydrogenated fats like the margarine and the shortening. And then if you allow anything that has the omega-3s or the omega-6s in them, if you allow them to be exposed to oxygen, always keep fats refrigerated and in tightly closed containers and use them up, within a reasonable amount of time, because they start degrading and becoming, actually, if you let one of these foods sit out on the counter, or if you never refrigerate it, then it's sitting there, it's a carcinogenic compound. Okay, so or it will start clogging the microcirculation in the body, all the different systems. So that's the main culprit I have found in all the years that I've seen people with these problems. Okay, just avoid being sedentary. Even if you do stretching exercises, anything is better than nothing. If you're able to get up and go out walking, or even more so if you're more advanced and you can, join a gym or just create a great exercise routine for yourself, then it's very, very important. And getting sunlight exposure, because your body needs to make the precursors to the many hormones that it has to make. Avoid nutrient deficiencies. You've got to have a full range of vitamin and minerals and raw enzymes, light energy frequency active foods. The more raw foods you can eat, the better. Have enough animal derived protein so you have all the amino acids that your body needs to rebuild itself with constantly. Whole food carbohydrates so you don't have spikes in blood sugars, and whole food unaltered fats. And then avoid or eliminate the absorption or exposure to synthetic chemicals in your consumer products. They're in every single consumer product unless you buy an organic consumer product, and that's where the chemicals are not allowed. So, people are getting inundated by thousands, literally, of synthetics and pollutants and disruption in all of their body systems. So that's when, especially you start seeing the early menopausal symptoms when people's systems start breaking down. So smoking, alcohol, and just be aware of your prescription drug side effects and speak with your doctors about it. Avoid the chronic emotional, psychological stress, that's intensified, especially if your body's unhealthy, if you're not paying attention to the right foods that will set everything straight for you, and, lifestyle health practices. So all of those really add up, and they make a huge impact on your health and how your body ages.
Wow, you're giving us not only the hopeful answer to our symptom, but our preventative things that we can do today to hope to alleviate any of those symptoms. That's absolutely wonderful.
Good, good.
Yeah. Okay. So, if somebody's going through perimenopause or premenopause, perimenopause, and menopause, how would they know how many drops to take? And I'm kind of blending in another question about the hierarchy of dis-ease. So if somebody is having symptoms of mood swings, hot flashes, and all that, and they are trying the Power Lemon, Power Apricot, but they might not be seeing what they consider as results right away. Does that kind of fall into the hierarchy of dis-ease, possibly?
Yeah. I went ahead and answered. I know they were kind of very similar, and the answers would have been similar, but I
Yeah.
had to make sure that I made the distinction. So let's go over the first part. So, well, actually, how many, when to take them, what to watch out for. See, we are so ingrained into taking medications that are with side effects. So it's very important to do the right doses and the right time of day and all those things, right? With or without meals, and people do expect adverse side effects. So nutrition is a completely different animal. We do not ever have to worry about nutrients doing that to our bodies. They don't upset the normal balance of how the body works. They enhance it and they correct it, and they just nourish it. They improve it. So we can't say the word HEAL, but in essence, that's really what nutrients do. They help the body, repair itself, right? So they shouldn't be regarded in the same way at all. So people need to get out of that drug mindset and realize they're taking in nutrients, and the body always welcomes these nutrient factors. So, it's not, this perspective isn't necessary with the drops, which are whole food nutritional supplements with nutrients are required for optimal cellular functioning. And the drops are whole food nutrient complexes, and that can be taken any time of day or night. Some people snack at midnight, right? Or snack early in the morning, or any time of day or night. Your body's going to use those nutrients to do the work that it needs to do to keep you going and keep you healthy. So, there's stories about, kids taking a whole package of them and they didn't have any side effects other than cleaning out their system really rapidly, right? So, I mean, nutrients will do that. But so yeah, don't ever worry about that. These are not drugs, these are nutrients, and your body desperately is searching for these molecules so it can do its work, right? All right, so also based on the chart in question number 1, that big chart where we compared all the different botanicals, one may elect to use both or one of the formulations because men are men and women are women, and they have different sets of hormones, and the body's going to read those nutrients and use them in a different way, right? So nutrients are not gender specific. The body utilizes nutrients to build the necessary molecules for maintaining that biochemical balance according to your gender, including when transitioning into or during menopause. So, of course, when you enter menopause, you're not becoming a man just because you cease your menses, right? The body doesn't change very much other than the menses. So, so yeah, this is something your body knows what to do with. Your DNA instructions are very specific that way. So since nutrients have a calming, anti-inflammatory effect, the hormonal changes in menopause do not need to be disruptive or degenerative or uncomfortable. That is the result of all of the putting all the wrong things in the body, having your body be exposed to too many pollutants over time, when foreign toxic substances or biologically incompatible molecules, just like the ones that I listed in question number 2, when they circulate or accumulate in the body, there will be disruptions in the equilibrium, and that will result in all these abnormal responses, typical negative menopausal symptoms, and other, degenerative health issues. Okay, so now, is this the one where, yeah, no, this isn't the second part of your question. I think it's a different question.
Well, and I kind of jumped around on you, so my apologies,
That's okay.
Mary
No, that's
Esther.
okay. I just just blurted out.
No,
But yeah,
because
so
your questions cover so many more things that just make me want to ask and change it up a little bit.
mhm.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's fine with me.
So,
You
so
never know
what's
what's in here.
I know. Well, no, you sparked so many more things because, as you said, with our children going through menses, having their first menses earlier and earlier due to the consumption of possible consumption of hormonal filled foods or whatever it might be. Um, are you thinking that it might be quite common for our younger kids, even like, 10, 9, 8 years old, to be having symptoms of their hormone fluctuations and that the power lemon, power apricot would be just as applicable in that situation?
Absolutely. Yeah, their hormones are developing, and sometimes it's dormant in their DNA until they reach a certain weight, and that's until they reach puberty. But a lot of these synthetics kind of disrupt that, and cause all of these very early symptoms in children. So absolutely, when you have nutrients, then the body knows what to choose and what to get rid of, because those synthetics are very similar to the types of fats and the plant sterols that are precursors to our hormones, and even vitamin D, which is also a hormone like vitamin. So all of those things can be utilized properly, and the body will choose what it needs the most and not allow what it doesn't need. So it will prefer the nutrients over anything else.
Okay. Well, that's very good because I think that usually we're talking about, women in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond. And we don't want to forget the little kiddos. Definitely do
Yeah,
not. So,
absolutely. Yeah.
so I had a question of the blood-brain barrier. Do you want to go to that question, or do you want to fill in the gaps a little bit more before we go there?
I think we pretty much covered
Okay,
it,
I think
you
so
know,
too. And
the way
so
I go off in the tangents. I think I answered that already.
yes. So the blood-brain barrier?
Yeah, let's go to
Uh,
that one. That one is
yeah.
awesome.
So yeah, because
So yeah,
I'm not sure if everybody knows what the blood-brain barrier is, but if you want to explain generally what the function is, and do our drops penetrate our nutraceuticals penetrate the blood-brain barrier?
Absolutely, and it's going to be so much fun answering that question. But just for a couple, just like 1 minute, let me go over what's in question number 5 because this is very important. So there's this narrative that I put in there, and when you download the PDF, everybody from my website holisticchoices.com/APL, all of these PDFs are always listed there in case someone didn't know that. So yeah, please read number 5 because that way you'll know the differences between a 40-year-old and a 60-year-old and how the physiology is slightly different, okay, because of the age differences. So yeah, this is a pretty good explanation about all that. And then I also listed the ginkgo as far as how it's helpful for that as well. So just go ahead and go back over that. And then there's a nice chart here that compares, whether someone is at risk for any one of these conditions or not at age 40 versus age 60. All right.
Oh, yeah, I kind of did jump over that, but that is so essential to know because 40-year-olds and 60-year-olds, we're all fluctuating at different speeds, right?
Mm. Yeah, no matter how healthy one is, there are differences. One, still can have menses, can have those restored, and the elderly woman who doesn't have any more eggs, so they're not going to be any more menses. So that's going to be a different physiology also. So we already went over the hierarchy of disease, I think. And so here we are with the blood-brain barrier. Okay, so yes, definitely. And I'm going to just go ahead and cut right to the chase here. So the size of these phytonutrients are extremely small, and they are allowed through the very tight blood-brain barrier, very crowded together cells that just don't allow anything to leak through unless there's damage, in the brain. So this circle that you see here, the one in the pink and the red, this is just the blood vessel coming in. You've got a cross section cut off of the blood vessel coming in, and these are the brain cells, the microglia, and just the nerve cells in the brain here. So we've got, all these blood vessels and all these nerve networks and all these other connections in the brain. But here is where let's see, the basement membrane. Okay, yeah, this is where, right here, the red line is where the phytonutrients are allowed through. And most molecules are too large. They cannot enter this blood-brain barrier. So they cannot get into the brain at all, like I said, unless there's damage. But these phytonutrients are immediately, the cell receptor sites on this membrane read the phytonutrients and it allows them through. Okay, so it's very tight junctions and not everything gets allowed through. So this is what's so great about the phytonutrient compounds. Okay, so usually they're measured in microns, which is 0.0001 centimeter or 1/10,000th of a centimeter. Those are the diameters, or the size of the phytonutrients. But also you can look at them as far as weight goes. So they're measured in daltons, the unit of mass. So phytochemicals are under 400 to 600 daltons. Okay, so that's how heavy they are. They're very, very not heavy, right? They're so unbelievably tiny. So yeah, that definitely can cross the blood-brain barrier. Not everything can.
Wow.
So yeah, I just like to show diagrams, and I thought it would be really fun for you all to take a look at these, So they list all the impact the nutraceuticals have on the brain and how they're allowed through this blood-brain barrier here.
Well, that's such valuable information, not just for our Power Lemon, Power Apricot, but just to overlay all of our drops and the amazing benefits that they do have, because I know that's a key word when you are talking to people. Some people will say, well, does it penetrate the blood-brain barrier? And now you have explained that to us. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
yes. And as you can see, the scientific citations here, I always wrap myself up with all kinds of research, right? I always back everything I do and say with all this tremendous research that's out there. So yeah, you can do a deep dive on these links and go in to see exactly, what they found in more great detail.
Well, a kind of a follow-up because we're calling them phytonutrients. And are our drops, are they classified as nutraceuticals or just straight supplements? And is there a difference? And how do our drops play into those classifications?
Yes, I don't think the company has formalized that term in
Okay.
association with the drops, but when you define a nutraceutical, that's exactly what they are because they're functional foods or functional nutrients. So they do more than just provide the energy components like proteins, fats, and carbohydrates, and vitamins and minerals. These phytochemical compounds, they're so saturated. Every single one of these botanicals has an array of these beneficial compounds. So they do act on the various areas of the body to correct the DNA at the DNA level, or they help the body readjust its hormonal system. It does repair work a lot more extensively. It just digs a lot deeper to help the person recover their health. So yes, I would say they do fall into the nutraceutical category.
Okay, so they fall into the nutraceutical, but we cannot make claims that they are a nutraceutical. I just want to get the wording right.
Oh, well, technically they are, but we have to check with Sergey, with the corporation to see if you can call them nutraceuticals because that's by definition to me, that's what they certainly are.
Yeah, yeah, they're incredibly powerful. And before we skip to how people can find you, is there anything else that I glossed over too quickly that you would love to let us know in your presentation?
Well, I think I pretty much wrapped it up in the five main takeaway sales points.
Hmm.
So if you want to read them or I can read them, it's fine. This
I'll
is
let
what
you do
Esther.
it.
Okay. Yeah, I just took the main gist of what this whole thing was about. So the power botanicals, they're nutrients that influence hormone functions and they help lower disease risk, pretty much, right? And then the nutrient factors in the power formulations, they play vital protective roles in helping the body's hormonal system return to that biochemical balance, homeostasis, uh, and therefore reduce or eliminate menopausal symptoms in that way by nourishing the body, not by introducing something that forces anything that alters how this mechanism functions. So the drops should not be regarded in the same way that people relate to drugs, such as like the exact doses, taking them at specific times of day or night, with or without meals, and expecting possible adverse side effects. The only side effects that you can experience with nutrients are the repair work that it does and restoring the body back to toward normal functioning. So this will take time. Sometimes someone won't notice anything at all and say, well, they're not working. Oh, yes, they are. They're working, and sometimes a system will take a lot longer to have enough of its cell turnover to start functioning properly to feel the benefits. So it will take time. Be patient. Keep nourishing. Keep nourishing. Keep nourishing, and your body will respond. Sometimes it happens a lot sooner depending on what's wrong. If something can be fixed right away and it's exactly what the body needed at that particular moment, then it's going to do that, right? Or otherwise, if it's a gradual degeneration in many body systems, then it's going to take time. Your body has priorities. So, that's the kind of thing. And you don't have to use my five takeaway sales points verbatim. You can pick out what you like and what fits with you and what you want to explain to someone, right? So the drops are whole food nutrient complexes, and that can be taken any time of day or night. The number of drops is not really limited because they're food and they're extremely nutritious, and your body's going to use it to the fullest extent it possibly can, anytime at all. That's how complex the body needs it. Body needs these nutrients all the time, 24/7, 365, your whole entire life, every single second, millisecond. So it's hard to imagine to what extent the body uses nutrients. So they have a calming, anti-inflammatory effect. Their hormonal changes in menopause do not need to be disruptive or degenerative or uncomfortable.
Wow. Well, you know what? Everybody here I know wishes that we could take a Mary Esther and put her in our little pocket for just to answer all the questions that anybody might have. Kevin, is there anything in the chat
There
that,
is, there is.
okay,
We have a questions, and
Okay,
it
good, good,
regards
good.
it's regards to women with high testosterone. What effect would they have? What would you suggest?
Okay, that is a really loaded question because how do they get to the point where they're only producing a higher amount of the male hormone than the female hormone? They have to pay attention to diet. A lot of these synthetics, they cause they cause the body to produce more of the male hormone. So that's a danger for women, right? And so you want to pay attention to your diet, get all the synthetics out, get all the junk food out, get your exercise and your sunshine, start cleansing your inner ecology, and everything will start shifting for the better.
Very good. Very good. And then the last thing is, uh, I did put into the chat where people can find your past calls with all your Q&As. And I've just also put into the chat, which you have lined up right here, is to talk about your book. So please, may I, Esther, talk about your book, and the links for people who can buy the physical copy and the digital copy are in the chat.
Okay, super. Yes, so this is the second edition when APLGO came up with several new products. So I had to add them into the book. So this is the second edition. And the only one that got left out was the LFT, but you can download that for free on this holisticchoices.com/APL. And just scroll down and you'll see, where to buy the book. And also you can, download it. But yeah, so this book will help people understand the science because they need to understand what these botanical nutrient factors do in the body so that anybody who's having any problem in any health system, in any body system, then you can go right to certain drops and you'll see what the botanicals do for those systems. So at the back of this book, I also have reference charts. There's a lot of quick reference charts in here, like what ingredients are in whatever botanical, or if you want to look up a scientific term, it's in that book too. I have a hybrid um, I I can't believe how fast I'm talking tonight. I didn't even have caffeine today. But yeah, so there's a lot of different sections, and so there's a hybrid encyclopedia and a dictionary in there. That's what I was trying to get out. And so it has the database of phytochemical compounds and what they do for the body. So it's really a big, big, thick book, right? So anybody who says, well, there's science behind the product, just show them the book. Okay, just show them the book. A lot of people who've had this experience know what impact this book really has. Okay, so it'll go through every single one of the botanicals in every single drop and give you the total science, all the science that's been done, and tons of scientific references like the ones that I showed you up here. The book must have 1,000 or more, scientific references. So it just goes on and on. It took me 18 months to do this book. But yeah, this is I wrote it for everyone. I knew at the very beginning that everyone was going to need something to show just how amazing these drops really are, but also prove it. These are peer-reviewed scientific studies that are in this book. You can't get any more credible than that.
Mary Esther, you are a blessing to APLGO. You are a blessing to all of us on the call tonight and those that are going to listen to the recording. Um, I'm wowed. Like I said, I've been with APLGO almost 5 years, and I still hear tons of little trinkets that you tell us about our drops. So I think everyone else can applaud you. And if you want to unmute yourself and say thank you to Mary Esther, we're trying to keep this underneath an hour. Is there anything else for our parting remarks, Mary Esther, that you want to let us know?
Well, we've got 6 more minutes, so bring
Yeah,
on the questions.
bring on the
All right.
questions.
That's
We've
what
got
I'm here
one more
for.
question. If this
Sure.
one is a pretty specific one, and I'll let you judge how to answer it because it's very medical. The person is saying that they have a girl that they get in contact with who has factor V Linden, I guess FVL. What would you recommend? She can't take hormonal supplements. And I
Factor
looked it
V
up, and
Linden.
it's a most common inherited blood clotting disorder, which from a gene mutation that prevents the breakdown of protein, factor V.
Oh, wow. Only time will tell. She's got to take all the stuff that would damage her health, first of all, just like everything we outlined tonight. And then she has to nourish, nourish, nourish. Over time, her DNA will start repairing itself. It'll find a way to do that and correct it. I'm not saying that she will be CURED because we're not medical doctors, but I have seen some pretty miraculous things happen, especially if a person pays attention to their nourishment over time, continue taking those drops, you know, and all the organic foods, the balanced foods. In fact, that's why I wrote my book, Nutritional Synergy. I had to make up my own nutritional system 45 years ago because all the other diets were inadequate, including what the government offered. So it's very nutrient dense. And by eating from this 12 category system, plus 2 extra categories that are, you know, based on consultations and whatnot. But when you eat from my system, then you're getting the full array of nutrients in the right forms, not altered forms, not processed, not, you know, refined. And you're eliminating all of the toxins that are in non-organic foods. So it has to be a very clean diet. And if she's having trouble digest or breaking down proteins, and there's a gene there somewhere, right, that isn't reading the information correctly, and all you can do is just continue to eat a high enzyme active food, because those enzymes are going to help break down whatever proteins she puts in her body. You know, and not knowing her background, I would have to be able to just talk to her more and determine exactly what kind of protein she's having, because if she can't eat proteins, then she's you know, wasting away her own valuable body protein, including nerves, you know, and organs, things like that. So there has to be a way for her to be able to break down those proteins and utilize them. And so, yeah, that's what she's got to do. She's got to start with that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Are there any other questions in the chat there, Kevin?
No, that's it. That's it. The one thing I did put in the chat while you were talking was always consult as you would recommend with a professional for this. Talk to them about all of what they're doing. She should. And what I recommended is that during this time, perhaps she should have, because she's afraid of taking the power, that she should avoid taking that for now, and the other drops should help support her health in conjunction with what she has to do according to the medical professionals.
Sure. Yeah, that's always a safe thing. I mean, it's not going to alter her hormones drastically, because, you know, her body will look at the molecules and decide what to do with them anyway. You know, but if she's taking the other drops, then absolutely.
Right.
Well, and the body is so intelligent. Follow-up question though, Mary Esther, when you're talking about how taking our drops, it's not like a pharmaceutical where you want to take it at a certain time with food, without food, all that. So some of our drops have like green tea. And so when somebody might be looking at that, they'll say, oh, I don't want to have that at night because it'll keep me up at night because it has green tea in it. What would your response be to that?
Okay, for the most part, we are consuming the DNA and the energy producing factories, the protein manufacturing factories that are inside the plant cells. That's what the body, when you digest your food, that's ultimately what the body's going to use. And so if it's, I mean, green tea has 1/4 the amount of a caffeine drink, half the amount of black tea. So there's such a minute amount, and it also has other countering effects in that very same plant, and also in the other botanicals in that same formulation that will counter, you know, anything like that. So I don't think it would be a problem. If anything, you know, you might want to notice that you're feeling more alert, more able to think, more able to learn, remember things, just be more, your body's producing more energy. But when it's time to go to bed, you know, the body has a body clock, a biorhythm with the sunlight and with darkness. So it should not be a problem unless you're consuming other things that would, you know, elevate your energy levels, other caffeine, you know, you just cut out all other caffeine if you're so concerned about that. There's just too many health benefits involved.
Well, thank you. As always, we have so much information, and information is key. To have the good information so that we can pass it on and help others is what we're here for. So thank you so much, Mary Esther. Thank you, Kevin. And everyone, if you want to unmute and tell Mary Esther how much you appreciate her, let's do it.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yay, thank you, Mary Esther. Thank you,
You're
Julie.
so
Thank you,
welcome.
Thank
Kevin.
you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
guys.
Everyone
Bye.
have a
so
blessed
welcome.
evening.
Thank
Bye
you.
now.
Oh, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.